Okay, here we go with day 3 video, solving equations and inequalities by combining like terms, distributive property, and variables on both sides. Wow, that's a mouthful. It's going to be a long video, guys. Okay, at this point, I need you to pause it, copy this down into your composition book. The goal, whenever you have one of these equations, any equation, is to isolate the variable. So you're going to use distributive property to get rid of the parentheses. You're going to simplify each side of the equation first. That means you're going to combine like terms. Okay, Mr. Goodwin just came in. I don't know where I was. So we're just going to go back to the beginning. So you're going to combine like terms. Remember, that means adding together all the guys with an X and all the guys without an X. You're going to begin by solving by undoing. If there's a plus sign, you're going to look for a plus or minus sign first. Take care of that by adding or subtracting. You're going to remember to work backwards. That means that you're going to add or subtract, and then you're going to do your multiplication or your division. Inequalities, we're going to solve the inequalities the same way. Remember, you're going to flip the inequality sign. Oh my gosh, guys, how do you listen to these things? If multiplying or dividing by a negative, you're going to always do the same thing to both sides of the variables. And then right here, remember, these are your graphing hints. So give those a biggie wow wow star. That's not a biggie wow wow star. Give those a biggie wow wow star in your notes. Okay, I want to see that biggie wow wow star. That's for a point. Here we go. All right, so we're going to solve and check. First of all, I'm going to draw a box around this left side of the equation because that's where my X is. My little eyeballs are right here. I am looking at the distributive property. So I'm going to take care of that first. So I'm going to leave the 5x plus. I'm going to do my little rainbows. 3 times x is 3x. 3 times negative 2 is minus 6 equals 10. I still, on this left-hand side, that's where my x is, so that's where I'm looking. I'm going to look. Okay, so someone tomorrow, if you know how to change this into a highlighter, let me know, okay? Help me out here. I'm going to look to see if I can combine like terms. Can I combine like terms? Yep, 3x plus 5, whatever that says there, 5x plus 3x. So 8x minus 6 equals 10. There's a plus sign. When I see a plus sign or a minus sign, I'm going to add, remember. Those cancel. I have 8x equals 16. I'm down to multiplication. When I have multiplication, I'm going to divide. I'm going to get rid of those 8's because 8 over 8 is 1. So x is equal to 2. For the check part of it, you're going to take and rewrite 5x plus 3 times x minus 2, and you're going to put equals 10. Technically, you put a little question mark there. Then you're going to substitute in what you found for x, which is 2. So anywhere you see an x, you're putting 2. Everything else stays the same. Now on this, you're not even touching the right side. You're just going 5 times 2 is 10. 3, 2 minus 2 is 0. 10 plus 0 is 10. So it checks. So we put a little happy face in there. Now, do you have to write the check? Oh, I'd love to say yes. But the answer is really kind of no. But I'd like to see it. Extra credit? Ooh, sounds good, Mrs. Evans. Okay, look at this one. Now, here's what we're going to notice right here. There is an inequality sign. Doesn't matter. We're still going to distribute. So that's negative 2x. Negative 2 times 4 is negative 8. Plus 6 is less than 20. Over here on the left-hand side, can I combine like terms? I sure can. I've got negative 8 plus 6. So I have negative 2x. Negative 8 plus 6 is negative 2, and that is less than 20. Over here on the left-hand side is where my x is. See that minus sign? Yes, Mrs. Evans, I see the minus sign. So I'm going to add 2 to both sides. Running out of room, folks. Those cancel. Negative 2x is less than 22. Oh, no more plus signs. So once I'm out of plus signs, I'm going to divide. Remember, when you divide, that's when you decide, are we going to flip the sign? So we're going to get x, flip, 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 is greater than negative 11. So when I go to graph that, I'm going to move over here a little bit. There's 0. Here's negative 11. This is what I'm graphing. It's an open circle because it doesn't have an or equal to. X has the big mouth, so I'm going to shade to the right. And I'm not going to check on this one. I'm just going to say, yep, I did it right. Yay me. I don't check inequalities. Okay, now this is an equals. So we're going to look at the side that has the X. That's this side. See that minus? It's a minus and then a parenthesis. That's no good. I have to have a number there. So I'm going to put a 1. So over here, I'm going to leave it negative 14 equals. I'm going to leave the 2. I'm going to take that negative 1 and distribute it. So negative 1 times 2x is negative 2x. Negative 1 times 6 is negative 6. Over on the right-hand side, that's where my x is. The question you always ask yourself now is, can I combine like terms? And I can. Here's a 2, and there's a negative 6 that don't have x's. So I have negative 14 equals 2 minus 6 is negative 4. Do it on your calculator. And then I have minus 2x. Over here is where the x is. Do you see a plus or minus? Yep, right there. So we need to add or subtract, but we add or subtract according to what kind of number we have here. So it's a negative 4, so I'm going to add 4, because negative 4 plus 4 cancels. So now I have negative 10 equals negative 2x. No more pluses, no more minuses, so I'm going to divide, and I'm going to divide by negative 2. Those all cancel. I get 5 equals x. If I'm going to check it, I'm going to go negative 14 equals 2 minus 1 times 2. Whoops, I said x is 5 plus 6. So does negative 14 equal 2 minus 1 times 10 plus 6? Does negative 14 equals 2 minus 1 times 16? Does negative 14 equals 2 minus 16? You betcha it checks. So this is my answer. Okay, inequality. That means I do everything the same until I divide. Once I divide, I'm going to decide. So I'm going to leave the negative 2 because that side does not have the x. This is the side with the x. This is the side I need to distribute. Be careful. Make sure you distribute that negative 3. So it's 4 minus 3x minus 3. On this side, I'm going to combine like terms. So I'm going to leave the negative 2 is less than or equal to 4. Whoops, no, Mrs. Evans, look. 4 and negative 3 are like terms. So 4 minus 3 is 1, and then I still have minus 3x. Over on this side, do you see that minus sign? That means we have to either add or subtract, and we do it according to this number. Opposite of 1 is negative 1. Do it to both sides. So now I get negative 3 is less than or equal to negative 3x. I'm done with addition or subtraction, so I'm going to divide by negative 3. This is where I decide. Am I going to flip? You betcha. So negative 3 divided by negative 3 is 1. Flip that sign! And the negative 3's cancel here, and I just have x. When I go to graph this, because it's got the or equal to, it's going to be a solid circle. Look at the x. It has the little bitty point. That means I want the little bitty numbers. So I'm going to shade to the left. Okay, this one's scary, scary, scary. We all know we don't like fractions. You showed me that the other day. Here we go. I'm going to take 1/2 times x. That's 1/2 x. I'm going to take 1/2 times 6. I can do that on my calculator. 1ABC2 times 6, or if I know what half of 6 is, break 6 in 2, it's going to be 3. Minus 9 equals 2. Over here on this side, remember my next step is, can I combine like terms? I have a positive 3 and a 9. So I have 1/2 x. Positive 3 minus 9 is negative 6. equals 2. Over here where the x is, see that minus sign? Minus means I'm going to take the opposite of the number that doesn't have an x, so I'm going to add 6 to both sides. So now I have 1x over 2, those canceled, equals 8. Remember, we're going to put that over 1. This is now a proportion. So we're going to cross multiply. We always go from the top left to the bottom right. That's 1x. Oh, you can't see that. Let me change it to black. That's 1x. Keep the equal sign. 2 times 8 is 16. That is your answer. And we could check it. Real quickly, I'll check it. 1/2 times 16 plus 6 minus 9. Does that equal 2? Does half of 22 minus 9 equal 2? Half of 22 is 11. Does 11 minus 9 equal 2? You betcha. That's my answer. Okay, it's your turn. You got 2 problems. You're going to your composition book. Your composition book should so far have the rules. I would like to see those examples. Hopefully you have those examples in there. If not, it's your book. I guess you can go back and look at the notes. But now you need to do number 1 and you need to do number 2. You're going to solve them. You can check them if you want. You don't have to. Pause the video and then come on back. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're actually going to have variables on both sides. So we're going to have an x on the left and an x on the right. And remember, I always say put a square around the side that has the variable, and we're going to decide from that side. So it's going to have to change a little bit this time. First of all, you're going to have to make sure that you combine like terms and distribute each side. So you're going to do each side. Are you writing this down in your little composition book? Hope so. Clean up each side individually. Then, after each side's cleaned up, you're going to move the variables to one side, and you're going to do that by adding or subtracting. Then you're going to move the numbers to one side, and you're going to do that by adding and subtracting. Okay, at this point, you're down to no more pluses. You're going to divide, you're going to cross multiply, and if there's any inequalities, you're going to graph them. Let's see what I mean. Okay, do you see right here? That side has a C and that side has a C. Let's change that color so we have 2 different colors. So on the left side where it's yellow, my question over here is, do I need, you writing this down, to distribute or combine like terms on the left? No. So my question is, do I need to distribute or combine like terms on the right? No. So that means, because there was nothing to clean up, I'm ready to move. I'm going to tell you, you can actually move whichever way you want, but I like to move this 7C here over to the left-hand side. You're going to see why in just a minute. So I'm going to take a 7C. I move variables by adding or subtracting. It's a positive 7C, so I'm going to subtract 7C. Because if I have 7C, I take away 7C. I got none. I'm none C in here. But if I do that, I have to do it over here too. Remember, that's the other side of the equal sign. I'm going to make sure to put that minus 7C under his friend. His friend is the other term that has a C in it. So over here, those 2 cancel. On the left-hand side, I have 8. 5 minus 7 is minus 2C equals negative 2. This is why I like to move things to the left. Now it looks like a nice little normal 2-step equation like we did last time. So now I'm looking over here where I got C's. I only have one little guy with a C. I've got a minus sign, so I have to get rid of the opposite of 8. So I'm going to subtract 8 on both sides. That cancels, leaves me with negative 2C equals negative 10. I'm out of pluses and minuses. It's multiplication, so now I'm going to divide. And C is going to equal 5. If I check this, I'm going to do 8 plus 5. Whoops, we said C is 5. I want to know, does that equal 7, C is 5, minus 2? I'm doing both sides by themselves. So 5 times 5 is 25. 8 plus 25 is 33. 7 times 5 is 35. I still want to subtract 2. 35 minus 2 is 33. Are the two sides equal? Yes, they are. So I can put a box. Okay, this one's an inequality. We're going to do it the same way. Question, over here on the left, do I have any cleaning up to do? Distribute, combine like terms. Nope. Over here on the right, do I have to distribute or combine like terms? Nope. That means I'm ready to move. I'm going to look at the right-hand side and I'm going to move the variable term. It's a positive 3f, so I'm going to move it by subtracting 3f. So I'm going to subtract 3f on both sides. Cancels over there. So now 9 minus 3 is 6f. I still have a minus 6, less than or equal to 7. Over here where my f is, there's a minus sign. When I have a minus, remember I'm going to use a plus 6, always getting rid of the opposite. So now I have 6f is less than or equal to 13. Once I'm out of plus and minuses, I'm going to divide. I'm going to divide by 6. And I'm going to tell you this is ugly. I get f is less than or equal to 13 over 6. If I went to a mixed number, that would be 2 and 1/6. So I'm going to move over here again. Well, actually, I'm just going to draw a whole new line because there's just not enough room. Silly me. So there's 0. There's 2 and 1/6 right about there. Because it's got that line, it's a closed circle. F has the little point, so I want the numbers littler, so I'm going to go to the left. Oh no, Mrs. Evans, there's a fraction. That's okay. Over here on the right-hand side, we're going to distribute. 1/3 times 18, do it on your calculator, it's 6. 1/3 times a positive 12 is positive 4 with a Q. Oh, I did not write this. I don't like Q's, even though I have one in my name. Okay, over here, I've got a 6 to distribute. 6 times 2 is 12Q, and 6 times negative 7 is negative 42. Look at, now it looks like a regular old variable on both sides. So if I look at each one, no more cleaning up, no more cleaning up. So I'm going to take this 12Q right here and move it to the other side by subtracting 12Q. I got 6. 4 minus 12 is negative 8. Those are my Q's. The 12Q's cancel, equals negative 42. Over here on the left-hand side, where my Q is, I've got a plus or minus. So I need to move a 6 by adding its opposite. So I'm going to subtract 6. I have negative 8Q equals negative 48. I have no more plus or minuses, so I'm going to divide. I'm going to divide by negative 8. I'm going to switch to black so we can see it. The 8's cancel. I have Q equals, the two negatives cancel, 6. If I wanted to check it, I'm going to take 1/3 times 18 plus 12 times 6. And I want to see if that equals, oops, I'm a little squishy here, 6. I'm going to take 2 times 6 minus 7. So that's 1/3, 18 plus 72. I'm just going to keep doing this side. 1/3 times 90. This side equals 30. Over here I have 6 times 12 minus 7. 12 minus 7 is 5. 6 times 5 equals 30. They are equal. Yay, me. Okay, we got an inequality. That means at the end we're going to have to graph. I'm going to distribute. Oh, listen to that. You can tell I'm doing it at school. Can you hear the overhead project or the overhead thing? They're looking for someone. So 6 times 3R is 18R. 6 times negative 4 is negative 24. Keep that sign. 3/8 times 46. You're going to do that on your calculator. Oh, that's really an ugly problem. Sure wish I had a calculator sitting right here. Wait, I did not find one because the batteries aren't working. Let me pause it. All right, I'm going to be honest. We're just going to change this problem. We're going to change that to 48. Okay. Remember, I didn't make this up. Sorry. So if I take 3/8 times 48, I get, okay, it didn't work. I'm trying to do this calculator. Oh, it's so hard. I get 18. 18R, and then 3/8 times 8 is plus 3. Now I'm down to a left side and a right side. They both have pluses, so I'm going to move the 18R by subtracting 18R. Oh my gosh, look what happens. Oh, I see why they didn't care. I have negative 24 is less than 3. Do you see that there is no variable? Write this down. Write this example down. There is no variable left. That means I have either no solution, okay? My answer is going to be no solution if what I have is false. Or my answer is going to be all real numbers, and that's going to be true if what I have is true. So my question to you here is negative 24, this is my less than sign, is negative 24 less than 3? Is negative 24 smaller than 3? The answer is yes, yes, yes. So this is true, which means my solution is all real numbers. Now, we mathematicians are lazy, so we just do those little parallel lines there and put an R. That's the solution for all real numbers. That's the symbol. And then we just color the entire number line. Oh, that was crazy. That was craziness. Crazy. All right, back to an equal sign. So on the left side, I'm going to distribute. 4 times 5c is 40c. Well, that's a good question. It was 8 times 5c, goober. 8 times negative 2 is minus 16. Then there's an equal sign. Over here, 10 times 32 is 320. And 10 times positive 4c is plus 40c. So now I'm down to the left-hand side, just has a minus sign. The right-hand side has a minus sign. So I'm going to move the 40c from the left to the right. I'm going to subtract 40c. Uh-oh. Look what happens. I get negative 16 equals 320. So there is no, writing this down, variable left. So remember, I either have no solution. Guess what, guys? There's a symbol for that too. It's just a circle with an O through it. And that's if what I have is false. Or, oh, that should be purple, shouldn't it? I have all real numbers, and that's if what I have is true. So my question is negative 16 equal to 320? No, that's silly. So because this is false, that means my answer is no solution. That means no matter what number I put in there, I can never make the left side equal the right side. Oh, got another one. All right, 4 times t is 4t. 4 times positive 20 is positive 80. Then there's an equal sign. 1/5 times 20, use your calculator, that's 4t. And 1/5 times 400 is a positive 80. All right, both sides are cleaned up. I'm going to move this 4t from the right to the left. I'm going to subtract 4t. Make the noises, it's way more fun. I end up with 80 equals 80. Oh my gosh, guys, guess what? There's no variable left. So that means my answer is either no solution if what I have is false, or it's all real numbers if what I have is true. So my question is, does 80 equal 80? Is that true? Yuppers, that is true. Therefore, my answer is all real numbers. Every number I put in there is going to make the left side equal the right side. Okay, checkpoint 2, copy and solve these problems in your composition book. Okay, I'll give you a hint. They both have solutions. It's not a no solution guide. Alrighty, have fun. See you tomorrow. Bye.